When you're looking at something and you can't make a decision, you need to make sure you've got all the alternatives there, and then evaluate each one and come down on the side of the one that's most likely to be good. Now, what's most likely? Let's talk about that for a second. Just quickly, management, decision making, 80% rule. Doesn't have to be 100%. You know, you want something to give you about 80% probability of success, and you take the risk on the other 20. Remember the risk-taking thing back a little ways back? You got to take some risk, right? So 80% solution.
Well, most of the advertisement, it is too good to be true.
Oh yeah.
So then how do you know, how can I make a good decision with that, not being afraid that I'm going to lose?
You're going to spend your life digging into those. You dig into one, you find out it's bad, it takes forever to do it. Then you dig into another one, and it takes forever to do it, and it's bad. Frankly, I would try to lean more towards something that's proven. Find references, find something you know about, reliable sources and reliable information coming from them. You know, what can I tell you? If we all in this room go forward tonight and start a business with win-win or no deal attitude, eventually maybe a bunch of other people pick up on that. You wouldn't have scams. But it's a corrupt world we live in. You're going to have scams. You just, you know, and trying to ferret through it, you just, I wouldn't be looking for ideas from somebody else. I'd be trying to think about my own idea from where I see around me. I think entrepreneurship comes more from inside you than, you know, I want to start a business, so I go hunting for one. It's more, I see a need and I want to fill it. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a guy who's now a pastor. He's the founder of Oasis Church out here in Ormond, out on 40. And he, way back when, started buying seconds, cabinets, and stuff that you could, sinks and plumbing stuff that you could put in apartments, and nobody would care about the quality. It was kind of low-end stuff. And he'd start buying a bunch of that stuff, and he had a place to store it. So an apartment guy would come along and say, I need to remodel my apartments, and he could find cheap cabinets and cheap sinks and cheap faucets and stuff and put them in there. And this guy collected all that stuff and sold it to him and made his living that way. He's a low-end hardware guy, low-end builder guy, lumberyard guy, combination of things. He did anything he could like that. But he was on the low end. Whereas you have the other guys, the wood mold cabinets, you know, the Brookhavens and the Delta high end and the Bowen high end and all that. You got that other end up there too. So, that makes, am I making sense? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah, it comes from in here somewhere, I think. If you're not getting it from in here, I have doubts whether you can buy it at all, buy into it at all. You know what I mean? Maybe. But it's worth talking to somebody about. Sit down and brainstorm it. And especially if you have one or two things you're interested in, sit down with somebody and brainstorm through those, and do a little investigation of your own, and then come and let somebody else look at it. Either us or I mentioned Inner Circle a while ago. You guys ever heard of Inner Circle? If you're going to be a manager or a leader of any kind, you need to find 2, 3, 4 people that you can call anytime and ask a question, and they'll try to help you with it. You know, or somebody to bounce ideas off of. That's called an inner circle. Cultivate something like that, and if you do that, you'll get answers quicker. You'll get the solutions faster. That makes sense. Time is your most precious commodity. Money, you might think money is, but I think it's time, don't you?
Yeah.
Don't waste your time on a lot of stuff. Be careful about where you waste your time. Makes sense. Well, maybe more of this will help you. Okay, here we go. See if you're out there searching in trade associations, magazines and stuff. It may not be a good fit, you know. Anybody find theirs somewhere else besides these? That covered? et cetera, covers it. I got it.
I think there's one thing we should be adding. Do something that people want.
Yeah,
In other words, you might think it's the greatest idea in the world, and the guy says, yeah, you can sell 100 of them, and then you're saturated.
yeah,
So you really need to get into something that people
yeah.
really want.
It's called a niche. This pastor had a niche. He found a niche and he made a living doing that. That's what it's called. Find a niche. A need that you can satisfy that nobody else is doing. There's where you make your real money to start with until somebody figures out how much money you're making and then moves in on you. Okay? That's what the market does. Buyers and sellers meet, and the buyer wants something you got, but if somebody else has got it, then you got to compromise on the price, right? Or quality. Okay? So you always want to, we'll get to this a little bit deeper in the marketing section here. If you go online and start doing some searching, entrepreneur.com and all that, you'll start getting the kind of stuff you're talking about. And yeah, if your idea pops up on there, that's different. Where your heart and your head come together with something you find there, that to me would make, that's a hit, that's a home run, right? Maybe? Okay, and you talking about kind of buying a business, right? Buying one already in existence?
Well, of both of them, I mean,
Okay.
you know, buying or working, being your own 1099 person.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So,
Private contractor?
you know, yeah, that's your own business.
Yeah. Private contractor. Okay. Something you can do. You can start small, not a big investment. Do you need anybody to help you with the startup that you're seeing?
No, not really. You know, like
There
I
you go.
said, the problem is the.
If you had some good advice, that'd be enough, right?
Yeah,
As opposed to the good advice they're gonna sell you, get some free? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to give you, if you're going to go 1099 contractor, you have to have a skill set that people want to buy. So you have to look at yourself and
Yeah.
inventory yourself.
Yeah.
If you want to be a consultant in the area of agriculture, you need to know the differences between the grasses and the birds and the flowers. So if you're going to go 1099, the reason they hire a contractor is for a specific skill set that you can bring them for a duration or a period of time. You can go on gig.com, sologig.com, and you can find all kind of opportunities to bid on contract work. There's whole industry around that. But you have to identify, because like for instance, he mentioned electrician earlier. We have to be licensed by the state to be an electrician.
Yeah.
Now, you can be a journeyman and work for an electrician under his license, but if you wanted to be the electrician, you have to pass the test with the state and be certified and licensed before you can go and work on a house. So as a 1099 contractor, you have to make sure your skill sets, you know, meet the requirement for the company to hire you. So you have to do a personal inventory of what your
You have
skills
to
are.
be legally able to contract on your own.